you suffer a 4-minute flat line while you're presenting to the hospital leaders. I mean, you essentially die.
I did. And that's where I met God, actually. So, you know, Rich, we're in such a hurry in life to become, all of us. And I'm kind of back into that rat race of life myself now, too. But we never just pause to be. And I learned the art of just true stillness in that moment. And I was presenting to hospital leaders about the success of the integrative breast oncology program that I developed at Mayo Clinic. And my practice at Mayo Clinic is integrative oncology. I'm not a traditional oncologist. I do integrative oncology. And I was so proud of this program because all of the lived experience combined to the educational, academic prowess I had been able to really cultivate in my academic career, I was able to blend that to really ignite healing in individuals going through the same things I had gone through. And in doing that presentation, it's just, I remember it. I remember because I was at the head of the table like this, there's hospital leaders all around me in their suits. And I'm trying to control this mouse, this cursor at the opposite end of the screen. And I remember looking and I was becoming disoriented and I was trying to control it. Sometimes you shake it because you think it's the battery. And the cursor in this far end of the screen started getting more pale, more pale, more pale. And that was my last conscious memory. And I remember arriving in this place and my body was floating. And I remember there was just this slight breeze that was coming over me. And I remember this sensation early on in the experience of a single hair stuck on my lipstick. It's any woman listening that's happened to it. It'll drive you crazy. Rich, you've never experienced this, I'm sure.
I can't relate to this.
I'm in this experience and it evolves to just this state of being. And I remember just this feeling as if the hands of God were holding me. And it was embodied love. It was true love, ultimate stillness. But the most profound element of what I remember was total acceptance of the complete unknowing. And that has been the most powerful lesson I've been able to carry forward with me. It also created this knowing that life beyond our conscious awareness is something magnificent. It is so powerful, so divine, so precious, and it awaits us. So again, I so think it's our ego that tethers us to this physical being. Because why else are we scared? Like, how do we know what's beyond this life? So that is why I'm not fearful of death, more now than ever. But I wasn't really fearful of death even before that experience. But I was gifted the grace of having this incredible experience that has just set the stage for just this glorious life of knowing what awaits me after.
It's an ephemeral concept for somebody who hasn't had that type of experience in their life, or for whom those ideas are somewhat foreign or difficult to, wrap your hands around. Like, what is it that you take from that would be salient for the average person?
I think what I would say is there's such importance for working toward and understanding our belief in something beyond ourselves, beyond this realm of our physical existence. I think that's what I invite people to do, whether that's God or whether that's source or whether that's universe. We certainly shouldn't judge that, and I think we are so quick to work at not judging others, but we're in like automatic to judge self, So I think we need to be more kind, of course, to self and just not judge yourself in any of this if you don't have that belief. But maybe just start to ask those questions. And for me, I do believe that's my superpower, right? I think that's truly what got me through all my hardest days. Not only the love, but was that belief for me in God. It's a more real message that those that align with it can take it and they have deep meaning. Those that don't, there's many other aspects of my story, I think, that resonate with them. I'm deeply spiritual. I actually met with the Dalai Lama in March of this past year. And so I believe in all belief systems. I love the philosophy of Buddhism. Again, it's just the compassion, the love, the understanding, the devotion to that the commitment to that is so precious. So I just think we're each very unique in what we were afforded in our belief systems as children. And I believe my life stage was sent for the very reason because of what I was going to go through.
Well, it certainly infuses your life with the work that you do with just a reservoir of depth, right? Like, so if you're working with patients, you have these experiences that are so extreme that provides your patients with a level of trust and credibility. Like, you've really gone through it. You've come out the other side. You have all this experience, not just in terms of, the practical what to do in these situations, but, the real kind of meaning and message behind it. And I'm sure that your patients feel very empowered and supported by the fact that you're able to provide them with that.
It's such a gift to be in that space with them when they open up their vulnerability or when they're scaring of dying. I actually had a long discussion with a patient at the airport yesterday. She found out that her cancer had recurred. And then this morning she sent me a message that she's just so scared of dying. And just to be able to be in that space with them because they know what I've gone through and they know that I've had those same concerns. And there's moments when you have fears. No one wants to die. I mean, we all cherish life. So I would not be honest to say, oh, I want to die. No, I don't want to die. And I live so healthy and exercise and I do everything right so I don't die. But when that day comes, it's okay, is what I'm saying. But to be able to sit there with them and give them my explanation of what I experienced in my moments of what I feel was death or close to it, and the peace that overcame me in that moment, it really allows me for that connection just to talk through with them what to do. And also because I wasn't sure when I would die. That was one example, but I had advanced heart failure after that moment.
I know, I was going to get to that. I mean, there are 5 years essentially after this flatline experience where you're living with heart failure before you ultimately get the heart transplant.
It got so hard. It got so hard that I couldn't even have a conversation without nearly passing out. And I would just be sitting and I would have to grab on to things, like, just because I thought I was dying. Like, it was like my life force would just almost empty. It's just, I was getting no blood to my brain constantly. I remember one time I was driving to work and I was like, oh no, I think I'm going to lose consciousness. So I had to pull over. I called 911. They come. This is one time I did lose consciousness. This was the last time I drove and my daughter was in the front seat with me. And I was driving. It was raining and she was 15. And thank goodness we were on a street that was not very fast. And I remember driving. I said, okay, honey, I'm not feeling too well. I'm going to pull over and I may lose consciousness. I want you to go in and call 911. I just somehow was able to stay very calm. And they're going to come. And if you need to do chest compressions, it's exactly what I want you to do. And everything's going to be okay. We were close to Mayo Clinic Hospital and I didn't quite lose consciousness. We were able to change seats and she's 15. She had never driven before, but she was able to drive the car somehow in the rain to the hospital and they got me there. It was these undescribable events. I remember seeing patients and examining them and my hands would be cyanotic. They'd be blue. And I remember having to lean against the exam table because I would be so weak. I thought my legs were going to collapse during their breast exams when I would do the breast cancer exams for them. Walking to my car after work, not being able to walk up like the 2 stairs to where I would have to pause and then to walk to my car and I would have to sit in my car 15 minutes before I drive home. It's unbelievable. I can't believe I made it.
What is it like to have someone else's heart inside of you?
Oh, it's like this dance of life. It's such a powerful gift. And I knew one day I would get a heart transplant. That was the thought, is one day you will need one. We didn't know when it would be. The scientists at Mayo Clinic took my heart and they're doing research on it. And I have something called the Titan gene. And chemotherapy, radiation, childbirth are all 3 things that can cause heart failure in people with the Titan gene. And if you have a triple hit, it's almost assurance that that is not going to be able to sustain all those hits. And so that's why I had such a severe form of this heart failure.
And it still took 5 years as you worked your way up this list to be a candidate?
Yeah, so after 2019, they still kept, or 2016, after the near-death experience, they still tried a few more procedures. they actually did one final procedure about 1.5 years later, and I had a retinal artery occlusion, which is essentially a stroke to the eye, and I lost my vision in my left eye, and that was when they called it quits. I remember after that procedure just thinking I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I remember just sitting there thinking I am scared to move too much, that I'm not gonna survive this. So there was moments of deep concern during this whole time from 2016 until 2019 when they listed me for heart transplant. They listed me for heart transplant in 2019, 14 months with not one single call. And now we're in COVID. And so it was really hard because they didn't know what to do in COVID. They didn't know, if the donor was exposed to COVID and it goes to the recipient, what does that mean? It was complicated. And then if you went into the hospital to wait for your transplant because you got so sick, no one could visit you. But come 2021, January, I had totally decompensated at that point. I had COVID in late 2020, and it just totally caused me not to have any more reserve in my heart. So I was admitted to the hospital after over 12 months of waiting with no call. And they put me on IV medications that would pump my heart. I was not a candidate for IV, for a balloon pump device, which helps to pump because of previous radiation, because of the size of my body. And then they were really concerned about doing any sort of it's called an LVAD, like a left ventricular assist device that helps to beat the heart because of other various issues. So I was pretty much getting so sick in the hospital waiting for my heart that they were going to have to put me on full life support, something called ECMO. And that was the day that they found my matching heart. It was really interesting because my colleague, dear friend, Dr. Parag Patel, sat at the head of my bed. And you would think, Rich, when they tell you we found a matching heart after 18 years of living this life, that you would just be like, oh my gosh, you found a heart. But in that moment, I just paused. I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Am I going to lose these blissful, I had the most beautiful childhood. Am I going to lose the memories of my daughter being a baby and being a little girl? And am I going to lose the memories of my husband who passed away? It's like real things that you start to process. And then the next thing he said is, Dawn, I have to share something with you. Your donor is an IV drug user with hepatitis C. That was really hard for me to accept. I had a colleague who actually said, your personality will change. And I think there was such a deep lesson there because, our words are so strong. And in that moment, I had such judgment on what that means. And I've learned so much from that. And it was a few hours that went by because he said, I want you to think about it. And you don't know. So she had hepatitis C, but you could acquire other things. You could acquire HIV. You could acquire a lot of things. And a few hours went by and I had this total knowing. It was just this feeling, this wave of energy just came through me that this heart is meant for you. And so I remember going down to receive my heart, and I had eye contact with one of my best friends, Dr. Bashar Sariapoglu. And I knew everything was going to be okay. I knew in several days I would wake up to the beat of a new heart. I remember as I went under anesthesia, every surgery before that, I'm Catholic, so I make the sign of the cross. I pray, I'd be like, please let me be alive. This one, I didn't do any of that. I just prayed for the donor family. I knew everything was going to be okay. It was so powerful. There were complications after my surgery. They actually had to take me back to the operating room and reopen me. I hemorrhaged. Whoa. They had to give me 12 units of blood. They did not think I was going to make it. All the radiation I had had in my chest, it was just so friable that it just oozed. They never found the bleeding vessel. So it was a few days later, I woke up after this kind of double surgery. And I just remember the most profound thing. My hair was brushing against these crisp white linen sheets. And it was just this harmonious sound of my hair. And it was like in sync to this powerful beat of my new heart. And I remember it was as if every single cell in my body was just oscillating this higher vibrational frequency. It was almost as if I could float. My energy was just so high and my body was warm, feeling for the first time in so many years. I didn't know what that felt like. And I never felt my heart for 18 years. I didn't know you could feel your heart in your body. I was like, oh, it's like I'm alive. It was the most fascinating experience.